Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. It is I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel Lynn Lindsay.
So, Rachel, before you got here, well, first of all, nice glasses.
I really want to take them off.
No, you can't. You can't take them off.
So, I just took a picture.
You just took a picture? So me and Rachel, by the way, this is not a commercial.
And we did not plan this.
Me and Rachel went to the Spotify thing last week. Spotify Press Play Challenge, whatever. What was it called? Spotify Now Playing?
Creators?
No, something. It was something that had to do with Spotify and video. And they gave us Spotify for video is a big deal and it's coming to take over. All right. They gave us these Ray-Ban glasses you can take pictures on. You can do all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna take a video right now.
Ray-Ban and Meta.
Ray-Ban and Meta together.
Yeah.
And I decided I was gonna wear mine, and then Rachel decided she was gonna wear hers at the same time, trying to get like me.
No, we both were gifted these glasses. I've been wearing mine. You went out. You gave yours away.
I gave mine away
to Kalika.
Then I decided that they were too nice and I needed to have my own.
But not before you tried to punk me into giving them to you.
I never tried to punk you.
You actually said, you don't want them anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would I not want these glasses? They're so convenient. They're perfect on my dog walk. I love them so much. Oh, see, this is what I'm saying. I just actually turned on a video.
Yeah.
They're so sensitive.
So, I mean, I just taped. But when I say this, we are not getting paid. Like, we are literally not getting paid.
Yeah.
Now I will stop doing the video. Ooh, camera was covered, it says.
I heard that.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'll do something else. Look, and so we have the glasses on. I gotta say, I look good in glasses, man. I'm only getting more handsome as the years go on. I really believe that.
Well, why don't you just let it speak for itself rather than constantly telling people that?
Because I don't have any confidence in it.
Oh, man, that's actually sad.
Yeah. And so I gotta say
you look great. You look great. Don't.
Oh, I got something to say. Monday, and everybody is just learning this. Monday, we might have to either do the podcast. I don't know if we're gonna be podcasting on Monday.
What is happening? This is a unilateral decision.
I have my
the transplant.
The transplant is Monday.
Why did you schedule it for a Monday?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
See, if I did this would be such a problem. I wouldn't be prioritizing the podcast. You are literally...
Is Monday the 25th?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they gave me the date. Maybe I can ask them if I can do it the 26th.
You've waited this long. But here's what my question is. Will there be a downtime?
Not really. So I'll be able to podcast Thursday.
It's the week of Thanksgiving. Go ahead and take... I'll
be able to podcast Thursday and then...
Thursday's Thanksgiving.
It's not.
The week of the 25th? You mean this Thursday?
Yeah, I'm talking about next Thursday.
That's Thanksgiving.
It's not. Thanksgiving's a different time. We got an extra week in November.
Am I crazy? The week of the 25th?
Thanksgiving is the following week. It's the last week of the month.
It's the 28th.
Right. I'm wrong. Rachel's right. Okay, so...
like, what's happening? All right, so we might be taking the week off, but I think the Thought Warriors will excuse it because we've been talking about this hair transplant for months, and I, for one, am very eager to see it. And
well, you're not gonna be able to tell for like 6 months.
But you have stitches?
It'll be something. They say after 10 days, I'll be right back to normal, but then like next week might be a little fucked.
The look or like?
The look will be fucked for whatever, but next week might be a little fucked in terms of like, I got some whatever. We'll see what happens.
That's probably why they skip. So you take the week off. Okay. Are you going to be sedated?
Yeah.
Like you have to go to sleep?
They have to put me under, yeah.
Day surgery though?
Day surgery, yeah.
Okay.
So I was talking to Donnie and Ashley before. Songs have been coming to me in my sleep.
Like songs that you've created or somebody else's song?
To Donnie. That's the same question that Donnie asked.
Well, because we are, forced to listen to so many of Van originals that it's a legit question.
This one is a pro LGBTQ plus
beautiful
Anita Baker remix that came to me in my sleep. Literally came to me in my sleep.
It's a Van original.
I had a dream that I was walking around the campus of Duke University and I saw the actor Paul Reiser. And he was like, wow, good to see you. Like I got lost. I was walking around and I got lost and I was on the campus of Duke. So this is what the dream was. I walked by this place and these dreams always have my dad in them. And my dad was inside the place eating. And it was like I was on this block where half of the block was really fucked up, like they was really shooting in that bitch. And the other half was really nice. And I was in this apartment complex where the shooting was happening. And I was like, maybe I need to get out of here or whatever. But then I saw my dad eating at a fish restaurant downstairs in this apartment complex. And so I was like, oh, this place is fine. My dad is here. So me and him had some fish. And he was like, go ahead and go home. And so I got up and I left. And when I was trying to walk back home, I got lost on the campus of Duke University. And I saw the actor Paul Reiser. And he said, what's up? He was very happy to see me. And then I tried to shake his hand and he was like, no handshakes, which pissed me off. And then I started walking back home, but I couldn't escape Duke University. It was everywhere. I walked past the football field, basketball, all of that stuff. And then I started singing a song, an Anita Baker song for the LGBTQ plus community.
Go ahead and give it to us.
From beginning to end, 365 days I'm a queer. I want that same-sex loving, baby.
That came to you in the dream?
Yes.
Why?
This like that.
Why?
That was the song that came to me in the dream. Donnie, Ashley, what do you guys think?
I like it. I kept going. I want more lyrics. What's the
more?
Keep it going.
There's a little bit more.
Oh, there's more. Okay, Go ahead.
All I wanna do is share penis with you. I want the same-sex love. And then all I wanna do is to share that coochie coo. It's the same, like.
I'm again gonna ask, love. Are you okay?
What do you mean?
Are you okay?
I was singing it. I like it. Y'all don't understand. I'm gonna start writing these songs down when I wake up.
Do it. Do you often have song dreams
every night?
I know you have dreams, but song dreams?
The dreams are going crazy.
Okay.
And my dad is like the Nick Fury of these dreams. Like he'll just like I'm telling you,
Nick Fury?
Because Nick Fury just pops up in all the Marvel movies. Like I'll be like driving, like let's say I'm driving and I'm escaping someone, right? Mm-hmm. And like I have to, something always happens in the dream where I have to stop and get gas because somebody's behind me. This will happen. I'll be driving to get away from someone and then I have to stop and get gas. And I'll stop to get gas and I'll be scared when I'm stopping to get gas.
Right.
That they're going to catch up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get there and then I'll see my dad and I won't be scared anymore.
Oh.
And then but he'll be like the gas station attendant. And he'll be like, all right, now, boy, be safe on that road. And I'll be like, okay, cool. And then I'll go back and then after that, the dream completely drastically shifts. Like totally drastically shifts. Like I'll be driving away from someone and then all of a sudden I'll be like in Disneyland talking to some celebrity. Anyway, you don't care.
No, actually, I'm very interested in dreams. I like to hear people's dreams because I do believe that things speak to us through our dreams. Well, in reality, mm-hmm. I went to Camp Flog Gnaw, which you tried to ridicule me and say that was only for children.
It's for kids.
There were a lot of adults there.
Yeah, it's for kids.
No, why do you say that?
Of all the festivals, and shout out to everybody that's out there. Shout out to the amazing genius Vince Staples. Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to the best artist right now in the world, Doechii. The best artist right now in the world. Shout out to Doechii. I'll say it again. This is for Breakout. Right now, the most interesting, the most beautiful, the most compelling, the most inspiring artist right now in the world, Doechii. Shout out to everyone. But Camp Flog Gnaw is for kids. You know who else was out there? Ben Simmons, Bill's son.
Okay.
Who consistently gives me
who's a teenager.
My music stuff.
But being out there, boots on the ground, I saw more adults than I thought I would because you tried to tell me that it was a kid festival.
Any 40-year-olds?
Yeah.
That didn't have artists working at the thing? The manager.
You know who I talked to quite a bit that was there?
Who?
Daniel Kaluuya.
We about to lose Rachel to Hollywood.
It was I know you're not talking. I know you're not talking, but people who are no, I know, but I'm just saying people who are fans of the music, Doechii, Tyler, DJ Mustard brought DJ Mustard and friends out there. So it was YG, it was Big Sean, it was Ty Dolla $ign, Tyga.
Tyga was there. Me and Tyga got the same hair replacement doctor.
Erykah Badu.
Okay.
Andre 3000.
Right.
These are artists I'm fans of that I really was excited to see. So
Sweet.
it was good.
You had fun.
Kaytranada, Sexy Red.
What's Kaytranada? I don't know that much about Kaytranada. Everybody talks about Kaytranada. I don't know very much about Kaytranada.
You would know the music if you heard it,
Okay.
like some of the popular ones.
Everybody's into Kaytranada. Shout out Kaytranada from Canada, right?
I don't know where he's from.
He's from Canada. Isn't he from Canada? Donnie, look up Kaytranada's from Canada, right?
Who else did I see? Daniel Caesar.
Daniel Caesar. Daniel Salad is back, huh?
He's back and he opened up because he's on Tyler's new album.
Mm-hmm.
So he was right before Tyler, who was
y'all. Let's be
that
honest.
new album is so good.
Let me tell y'all something. Y'all let Daniel Salad off the hook.
Well, first you got to call him by his actual name.
Y'all being
if
way
you want
too
people
mean
to respect him.
Y'all being way too mean to Daniel Salad. He did something that y'all didn't like, and y'all acting like that nigga Daniel Salad put a fucking Nazi insignia on his fucking head, man.
Well,
why we treat Daniel Salad like that?
I mean, he had a huge crowd, so
good for him. That's good.
Were they black? No.
Come on, man.
But I'm just saying, to your point, they weren't.
How much of the crowd at Flog Gnaw is black anyway?
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But it was a good, I watched it. It was good. I don't think people are harping on it was 2019. I don't think people are harping on it as much as they did before. He's back. He did his thing. Mm-hmm. People enjoyed it.
Beautiful voice. I mean,
Yeah.
All right. It's time to get into the podcast. You gotta get into the podcast, motherfucker. Okay, so we start with Trump Watch. Look, Trump Watch is not going anywhere, guys. Especially while we're in the transition. Did you just cut your eyes at who?
I just had a thought. For those of you listening and not watching, we are not in our normal studio. It's under construction. But so that means everything that is in that studio is there. And it just came to me that you must have gone in there to get Hootenanny while it was under construction.
Wrong.
Or did you take him home?
Wrong.
You took him home?
No, I didn't take him home. See, and we have to talk about this. This is the ugliness that exists for no reason. I actually didn't do that. So would you like to, please, introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to be right in your camera here, but yeah, I'm CT, and I just wanted to make sure that they all made it into this. It's been in so many episodes these days.
Wow.
CT, who is helping us produce the podcast here, working for The Ringer / Spotify. CT was the one, Johnny on the Spot is his new nickname. He brought Hootenanny in here because he understands how much Hootenanny means to the show. So, once again, Rachel, bathe in wrong. All right, on the other side of this break. Trump Watch. Trump Watch.
Vagina.
All right, Trump to select Robert F. Kennedy to lead Health and Human Services. Jesus, we are fucked. This comes after Trump promised to let Kennedy go wild with health and food policy in his administration. This is after RFK Jr. who was a slightly formidable third-party candidate early on in the campaign, dropped his own campaign and endorsed President Trump to become a part of MAGA world. This is what RFK said. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. Actually, Trump posted that, should I say. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everyone will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Kennedy, 70 years old, thanked Trump for choosing him Thursday. Blah, 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 look forward to blah, 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 to make 80,000 people, blah, 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 that work in that blah, 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 blah. He's helped. He's into it. He doesn't believe in anything. Rachel, your thoughts?
I mean, this happened right after we did the podcast last week. Are we surprised? No. We knew this was going to happen. We knew he was going to be nominated by Trump. The question is, how will the Senate respond? He's going to go in because a lot of people, not a lot of people, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but this is some of the policies that Kennedy is pushing, or some of his ideas, I should say, that he's pushing are receiving bipartisan support. I mean, the fact that he...
Like what?
Like him wanting to cap drug prices, him wanting to limit direct-to-consumer drug ads, the fact that he wants to crack down on highly processed foods. He wants there to be more information regarding nutritional facts. He wants, to fix the foods that kids are eating in schools. Those ideas that he's been talking about are receiving support from both sides of the aisle. But then you have the other side of it where a lot of the ideas that he wants to push are not based in science. They're not based with any type of evidence research. And, the fact that Trump says he wants to go wild shows some of his extreme views, which are going to have huge impact should he be able to implement them. He claims that he is not anti-vaccine and that he would not change things that are vaccines that are already in place. But how can you really believe him? I mean, one of the things that organizations he sits on is promoting misinformation in regards to vaccines. Some of his ideas are going to lead to vaccine hesitancy. It's already out there. The ideas that he's pushing that aren't rooted in any type of research or based by any type of science are causing people to be hesitant about taking the vaccine or providing it to their children, which leads to the possibility of more infectious disease. Measles is already up. I think I heard a statistic about 20%. And the ideas that he's pushing lead to people having less trust in public health institutions and the healthcare system. So, I mean, it's a problem.
So there are two sides of this, two that I think are interesting. Number one, it seems like the right, led by Robert F. Kennedy, in his new capacity, is going to engage in some regulatory action. Very interesting. I remember somebody saying that they wanted to make Americans fit before Michelle Obama.
Right.
And she was criticized for implementing a nanny state climate into American politics, or American health policy, should I say. Like, she's a nanny state. She's watching what we eat. She's watching what we do. I have no problem with us consuming the best foods. I think that it's interesting that a lot of the foods that we eat over here are illegal in other countries, and I think that's interesting, and we should take a look at all of that type of stuff.
Sure.
But I also think that there are plenty of people who look at the fact that RFK, in his capacity as the secretary of the HHS, doesn't feel like he needs to study infectious disease. That is on the heels of us having one of the most dramatic and perilous health crises that we've had in a long time regarding infectious diseases. And we obviously need to know more about those, how to study those better, and what to do if there's another pandemic. And we need to also apply the lessons that we actually learned from the last pandemic to anything that would happen in the future. I'm not alone in this. These are not novel thoughts from Van. Michael Osterholm, director of the Center of Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, told CNN, Kennedy's views are pseudoscience, and they are dangerous for the country. Everything that we see and know about what a Trump administration will look like would devastate public health in this country. He says that he's a nonpartisan health soldier. And what he sees out of Robert F. Kennedy is a very specific worldview to looking at this stuff that takes a lot of the science out of it or injects pseudoscience into it. There are parts of the ideas that I think are going to resonate with people on both sides in terms of fixing our food and all of that stuff. You wonder how much pushback there's going to be surrounding that from the big corporate entities that help fund a lot of these campaigns and that are benefiting, obviously, from keeping certain additives and certain ingredients in the food and whether or not that can actually get done. And if it can't, right, if it's too much of a haul, what do we lose in terms of studying infectious diseases, being ready for the next pandemic, vaccinations, novel research and development of new drugs to fight diseases that might be novel or that might reoccur because of lax policies in vaccination and things like that. So I don't know. Like everything else, there's a gigantic unknown. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it'll also depend on, and this is, what some people are talking about, is who he will choose to lead some of these agencies. Like he's going to be over all of it, but who's going to lead, the NIH? Who's going to lead the FDA? Who's going to lead the CDC? I mean, I'm sure he's going to put like-minded people, which I think then leads to the problems that we discussed, the bottom line, the possible outcomes that could be problematic for Americans. He's said that he doesn't want to devote any research to infectious disease. And you've got things popping up on social media talking about new things that are coming into the United States left and right.
Don't let that shit scare the shit out of you.
It does scare me.
A lot of,
I'm not saying it's going to turn into COVID, but post-COVID, that kind of stuff does scare me. I look at it in a different way. It's hard for me to write it off because of what happened with COVID. It just is. I think there's a lot of, at least a fear for me when it comes to that. And if somebody's leading this and, is going to put like-minded people to head these agencies and is going to devote nothing to infectious disease or promote, misinformation regarding vaccines or saying that vaccines lead to this without any type of research, I'm concerned when you're already seeing diseases that didn't have such a high percentage go up as people are having less trust in the systems that be.
Yeah. So this brings us to a very interesting conversation, at least to me, that I was having with myself.
Okay.
So I was reading about the deportations and what's going to happen with the deportations. President Trump, it seems to, it seems like he's going to, should I say, use emergency authority to use the military to go in and execute his deportations. Wants to deport 10 million Americans. It seems like that's what he's going to do. There's probably going to be a lot of different entities that are involved in that. He hasn't really said how he's going to do it. I would imagine that there'll be some local law enforcement mixed with some federal law enforcement mixed with some ICE and type of situation. If this actually happens, that it'll be sort of a cornucopia of things that go into it. And I thought about something. If, in fact, we are to the point where 10 million Americans are 10 million people living here in America, should I say, are going to be deported, do you want that to go well?
What do you mean?
Okay, think about this. So, where my heart is, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is Gardier Lane, right? My mother lives over there near Easy Town. I shout out Easy Town, okay? But where I'm from, Gardier Lane.
Okay. Oh my gosh, did you hear that? Did that pick up on the microphone?
It probably did. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you.
What? My stomach growled. That is normal.
It is normal, but I can tell you're a farter because...
Don't put that on
I can tell you are. You have a lot of gastrointestinal... Your stomach is always growling and stuff like that.
I do actually, but that doesn't mean that I'm a farter. Please don't put that on
I can tell you're a farter.
I would have already done it around you, which I've never had.
It doesn't matter.
If it was that big of a problem, it would have seeped out, and that has never happened.
Because what you do...
I haven't eaten anything.
I'll just say this, and I advocate for this. Women, we know you fart, so just fart.
I literally don't have to. I don't eat before I come on the podcast. It's very rare.
No, you eat while the podcast is going on. Right there. It's happening again. You just have a lot of gastrointestinal distress.
And coffee.
Right.
We podcast early in the morning. I eat after.
Early in the morning? We podcast at 10 o'clock. Nigga, what the fuck?
I don't eat before. I don't eat that early in the morning.
I don't either.
Yeah, so
I like to do stuff on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Somebody get Rachel like an omelet or something like that. So look, back to the question. So from Gardier, two sides of Gardier. On one side, Hermitage subdivision. Okay. Basically, shit still goes down over there, but it's houses. It's a neighborhood. Basically. On the other side, Skysail, all kinds of different apartments clustered together. That was always the side where it went down a little bit more. Okay. Last time I was home, I go over there across Gardier, and they're living La Vida Loca over there. Okay. Our Latino brothers and sisters have taken over. I'm just being for real. There's a whole park there where we used to go play basketball and do all of that stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. It was like the fucking World Cup over there the last time I was there.
Okay.
They were having a fucking fantastic time. It was actually fun for me because I was looking like, these niggas is playing soccer. They got the whole thing, they playing, we used to play football and it's soccer going on now. And they got guys waiting to play soccer. The whole basketball court, not in use. It's people waiting to play soccer. They're playing soccer on the basketball court. It's just different. It wasn't like that when I was growing up. So I thought to myself, if in fact you send different government agencies into places to, quote unquote, deport illegals, how they would call them, or undocumented people, how decent people call them. If you send them there, well, then you're going to be sending them into neighborhoods like that. And then you're relying on law enforcement that is a lot of times can't tell the difference between a Glock 17 and a Super Soaker. You're asking them to make decisions on people's nationalities, their status in America, all different types of things like that. There are a lot of dynamics that go into it. And I feel like my community there is in danger.
Sure.
The whole community there is in danger. It injects something into that community that's pernicious. A lot of the Black people that are still living there from the time that I grew up, and a lot of the new residents of the area that are there now. And that particular part, when I saw that, I'm thinking that place could be lit on fire. Now, politically, obviously, you want these deportations to be a disaster because you don't want this to be the solution to what is a problem in terms of the border and border security in America. We need to fix the asylum process. We need to do all kinds of things that make this process better, right? However, would it be worth the life of a Black kid, or would it be worth a Black kid being wrangled by the police? Or would it be worth any dysfunction that actually costs something for it to go poorly? Would it be worth there being a shootout? Would it be worth there being,
no.
Think about, so what I'm saying is, the question then becomes, do you want it to go smoothly or not? Because if it goes, you see what I'm saying? If it goes smoothly, if they have it together, then that means you don't experience a loss of life or a significant disruption of the lives of people that I care about. But then that also means that politically there's a cost for that. If it goes poorly and somebody ends up in jail that's not supposed to go to jail, or if somebody ends up caught in a crossfire, if somebody ends up detained, if they end up getting beat by the police, if you can't tell the difference between a Black Dominican and a Black American who's been here for generations, it's like, how do you want it to go? And it's a question that I really sat with. And it's the same thing that kind of when you think about Health and Human Services or anything else, you want this stuff to fall on its face because you don't think it's rooted in anything. But there is a cost if it ends up going terribly, terribly wrong.
It is very dark for me to sit and want all the things. Like, then I would have to also say, I want Project 2025 to be implemented so people can see how terrible the ideas that are related to the Trump and his administration can be for this country. That means I'm rooting for the country to fail. So I don't want to see the worst case scenarios happen because it can endanger so many of us. But I'm also not, it's a balance, right? Like, I'm also not rooting for the Trump administration to do well because then it's like, I told you so, and we got to keep this thing going. I guess how I reason it is to be honest, like, even let's just go back to what you're talking about deportation. I don't see how any of it can go smoothly.
It won't.
It won't.
I get that.
And so it's like, it's hard for me to say, yeah, I would like for it to go smoothly because I don't want people to be harmed. I don't want the wrong person to be deported. I don't want people separated from their families. I don't want to see any of that happen. The confusion, the chaos of it all. But I don't know how it's not going to, especially the rush of it, the emergency of it. Day one, this is what we're going to do. Well, when you rush things become chaotic. And they're rushing to move people out, it seems like, without any type of plan or policies in place. And that's where mistakes will be made. So I can't even reason it going smoothly because I know it won't. And I think that's easier to say than maybe what RFK Jr. is trying to do. I don't think he's going to have, I think there are systems in place. Like, if he wants to get rid of FDA, he's not going to be able to just unilaterally be able to do that. I think there are policies in place or boundaries in place that are going to stop him from being able to make a rash decision than it is for what they're trying to do with deportation.
Not as many as you think. Some of this stuff, and we need to get somebody on to see how much of this stuff they would need Congress for. Which it doesn't fucking matter. They got the votes, right?
Well, like, okay, for example,
give it to me.
Undoing the approval, like, if he wants to get rid of vaccines, for example, he's going to have to require submitting evidence of harm that meets the FDA standards to prove harm. Like, that's I don't think he can say, we're just not going to do these vaccines anymore. Like, to me, there seems to be, I'm not saying he can't get there, but it wouldn't be able to be like, I'm just going to immediately do away with it, which is what seems like what's going to happen with these emergency deportations.
Well, what's unclear though, and what we should look up, and Donnie look up, is whether or not if you have Vivek Ramaswamy coming in and saying that they are going to downsize all of these different bureaucracies and eliminate a lot of these agencies, what will the guardrails be? Because what we think that we have right now, at least for a little while, at least for 2 years, is a Trump administration that is hell-bent on, quote-unquote, draining the swamp, eliminating the deep state. And in order to do that, they are going to fire large amounts of people that work in these different agencies, right? And after that happens, will these agencies essentially, for all intents and purposes, go away? Will there be enough guardrails on will we see the types of regulations and safeguards that we've seen before? How much damage can be done? Is anything going to be the same way? Like if he does nothing, like Hegseth, we're going to talk about Hegseth. Obviously, some of these people, they're not qualified. We've talked about qualifications ad nauseum for the last 3 years because of DEI. But you have Hegseth, who is going to be up for confirmation for Secretary of Defense. Obviously unqualified. You have Matt Gaetz, obviously unqualified. What that tells me is the actual Secretary of Defense is Donald Trump, and the actual Attorney General is Donald Trump, because he's implanted loyalists in those positions. So in all of the stuff that we're talking about, I'm not sure whether or not we can rely on any governmental agency or any traditional safeguard to protect either the rule of law or standard operating procedures in any way like we have before. We're in a completely new frontier territory in terms of who's going to do what. I don't know, and it's too early to know how much much damage he can do, and how much will be left in place.
Yeah. No, it really is. Like I guess I'm just thinking. I'm like thinking of different ways that it could. So if he does fire a bunch of people and put the loyalists in place, I think like one of the things he's talking about is big pharma and like limiting, like what I was talking about, like capping drug prices and limiting direct consumer ads. If pharmaceutical companies are upset by that and that affects their bottom line or their money, then you could see lawsuits going in place and then they could get tied up in the legal system. They could sue. Like maybe that could be like a guardrail or something like that. But you're right. It's like, even when I hear you say this, I'm like, what can we believe or trust in? Like, because they're literally doing everything that they said they're going to do, and that's putting people in place to be disruptors. Everybody, like the people that he is putting in place in these positions that he has nominated to be appointed are disruptors to carry out the things that fully benefit him and his agenda.
I got an idea. Okay, so we'll be in New York this Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Higher Learning special episode. We're going to do 2 days of intensive research and talk to the scholars that we can talk to. The name of the episode is What Can He Do? What can't he do? We're going to come back because you guys, once again, we're all learning about this. A lot of these things haven't been tested in a while. I'm going to spend the next couple of days talking to legal scholars and constitutional scholars that I know to talk about what specifically the president-elect can target and eliminate and what's going to be a little bit harder. If there are any guardrails that remain, what will those guardrails be? How will they operate? And is there anyone left to stop literally this bleeding of some of the America that we knew before?
I think that's a great idea.
So let's do that. We'll do that. Okay, because other than that, we got more stuff like this topic. Hegseth has a weird case.
Is it weird?
Hegseth got a weird case. Why is he around? Okay. He agreed to pay an undisclosed amount to a woman who was accusing him of sexual misconduct because he feared that he would be terminated from Fox if that came out. It says that the Washington Post reported that he allegedly raped a 30-year-old conservative group staffer in his room after drinking at a hotel bar. She filed a complaint with the police, alleging she was sexually assaulted days after the October 7th, 2017 encounter in Monterey, California. But the local district attorney did not bring charges. Police investigated the incident. She threatened litigation in 2020. He paid her, and she signed an NDA. That's according to the attorney. He was visibly intoxicated at the time of the incident, blah, blah, blah. The complainant had been the aggressor in the encounter. That's what Hegseth says. He maintains that this entire thing was consensual. At the same time, though, it seems that he paid to have it shut down so people wouldn't know. Secretary of Defense.
If this story came out thinking that it was going to in any way hinder him being appointed,
of course not.
It's like we have Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think if he's not appointed, it's because of which he will be. It won't have to do anything with him as an individual or his values or his morals. We have Trump in office. I don't even need to repeat all the things that Trump has done. We are well informed on it at this point. But is this even shocking to hear at this point? No, this man does not value women at all. Look, we talked about his appointment. We had Paul on, who was great last time, talk about the things that he has said in regards to women in combat and how he values women in the military, which he doesn't. He doesn't look at women the same as the way he looks at men. So, he's saying that this was consensual. She's saying she was assaulted. I lean to believing her. And to me, it aligns with the things that he has said so far regarding women. He doesn't see them the same way as men. This is the least shocking thing, sadly.
We'll see what happens with that. By the way, McConnell has said that there will be no recess appointments.
Yes, which still doesn't mean anything. Great, there are no recess appointments. Doesn't mean that the Senate won't appoint all these people.
That they won't confirm. Yeah, they probably will confirm. Look, here's the thing. Everyone, expect the worst.
I don't believe in anything anymore. I don't care.
I don't believe in anything.
When it comes to the Congress, people saying, yeah, it shocked me that he appointed this person, or, we're really going to have to think about it. I do have some reservations about, a Matt Gaetz. All these people are going to still vote. When it comes down to it, they're going to line up with Trump.
Okay. Did you watch the Tyson-Jake Paul fight?
I was at an event when it was on. I did. Dwayne Wade had an event for his wine, Wade Cellars. It was at the Linden. And it was all about...
The Linden?
Mm-hmm. Was it the Linden?
Linden. Are we talking about Stilo and Alana?
I met Alana.
Oh!
Lovely.
Stilo and Alana, the Linden.
Shout out to Alana.
Shout out to Stilo. Shout out to Alana. Shout out to ... Shout out to New York Chopped Cheese. Let me tell you something.
It wasn't my first time there. It's a great restaurant.
I'll tell you something right now. One of the most, I don't want to say underrated, but like if you know how Stilo Brim is moving around LA. Not just from an entertainment standpoint, but creating structures and havens where we can go and we can exist that have taste and class and elegance, just like a amazingly dope guy. Thinks he can play basketball.
Oh, okay. So do you. So, y'all are in good company.
Thinks he can play basketball. But like an amazingly dope guy, an artist, a creator, a mogul, my guy, I love him.
Well, the restaurant is great. If you live in LA or you come to the LA area, you definitely need to try it out. The food is, and this is coming from a picky eater, the food is spectacular. Like, it's for everybody.
Oxtail, puff pastry, oxtail situation.
I haven't had that. This was a set menu, but the event is called When We Gather, and it was just bringing people together and, like networking, and tried his wine, Wade Cellars. It's fantastic, but it was a great event. What
if the wine was shitty? Could you say if you would?
I wouldn't have even mentioned it.
Okay, got it. See, that's what I'm talking about.
If it wasn't good, I wouldn't have mentioned it, because no one would know any different. But anyways, I say all that to say I had the fight on my phone. Dwayne Wade's dad was at my table, so I put the fight up so they could watch it, and so I caught bits and pieces. But from what I hear, I didn't miss much. I mean, obviously, I read about it. I saw a lot of the stuff on social. But as far as watching it from start to finish without interruption, no. Even though I heard there was a lot of interruption for y'all.
Yeah, Netflix was getting all fucked up. What you missed was Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, which was...
Oh, I heard the fight before? Yeah.
The fight of the year.
Yeah.
A little bit of a robbery there to me.
That fight or the Tyson-Paul fight?
The Serrano-Taylor fight, just because of the fact that I thought that Serrano did more than enough to take that fight. But however, it was a fantastic fight. Like literally two gladiators going to the limit, pushing themselves. The Tyson-Paul fight was a debacle. This is a disaster.
Why?
It was a disaster and an embarrassment for Netflix because the stream did not come together technically. And Netflix is trying this stuff out so they can...
60 million people watched
60 million people watched it. I think that's a bad thing for Netflix. It was a debacle for Jake Paul because this was so widely watched that the thing that Jake has been able to fly under the radar with was exposed to more people than ever. I want to say something real quick. I've seen Jake Paul in the gym. Jake Paul takes boxing very seriously. I told this story on Bill's podcast, but there was a fighter that was at Phil's that was talking shit. He wanted to fight Jake Paul. And this is a real boxer. Somebody's been boxing for a long time. And he said, I can't wait to get in the ring with him. I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to do all this kind of shit to him, blah, 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 blah. He gets in the ring with Jake. Jake fucking killed him. Like, literally beat the shit out of him, right? So if you think that Jake Paul straight up cannot fight, you're wrong.
Okay.
He's fought enough, and he's been in the ring enough to where there is some boxing acumen there.
And can I ask you this? And I think a lot of people have this question. Then why does he keep taking these kind of fights? I get the money. Take the money out of it. Why are you fighting if he's, and I'm not questioning him being a fighter, you know, like you have way more expertise. You've seen it. I trust that. Then why isn't he fighting fighters? Like they're either not trained, former athletes, 30 years older than him. You know what I mean? Like, so then get in the ring and fight somebody who's in your weight class, your age. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why are we not doing this then?
So I want to make...
That's what makes people question it.
I want to be clear here. I'm not defending what we saw. I just don't want to minimize from someone who actually gets in there and does it under the lights. If you've ever been in the ring before and you've put gloves on and you fought anyone, even in front of a gym full of people, you're in there by yourself. And if you're in there doing it, even if you're getting your ass kicked. I was in the ring with a big heavyweight who was fighting professionally on a card, and I got destroyed in there. But the respect of the gym came to me because there are just very few people that would get in there and put their skill on display in front of a bunch of people or put themselves in harm's way and only rely on what they've learned to protect themselves. So it's very difficult to me to be like, fuck that. He's fighting on big cards in front of huge people the whole nine. This is the thing about it. Typically, if you're 10 fights in, what is he, Jake Paul? 10
11.
and 1?
He's 11-1.
He's 11 fights in. Typically, just depending on where you come from, let's give two different paths to this. Let's say that you're an Olympian. You've been fighting since you're 6, 7 years old. And you fight all the way up through the amateurs. You fight in the Olympics. You do all of this stuff. Then you might come out, you have so much experience that those first 5 fights, you might take them just to get used to the pro game. 6, 7, 8 fights, you're going to step up a little bit. 9, 10, 11, you're going to step up some more. And then by the time you get to 14, 15, you're going to be fighting on cards where people are watching you. And they're probably going to want to see you fight some pretty serious competition, right? Vasily Lomachenko, who was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, he fought for a title in like his second fight, right? Because he had enough boxing experience to where people are like, okay, and he was a little older, well, people are like, okay, come in there and fight somebody. However, for a lot of people, these are the guys that you fight when you're building up your record. If you look at guys, even like Deontay Wilder or other guys, if you're coming into the game and they're building you, these are the types of fights that you take. Some guys go down to Mexico to get to 15-0 or 16-0. The only difference is they do it and nobody knows that they did it. By the time you see them, they're already 16-0. You only see them in the fight where they step up to the next level of competition. You only see them when there's something to talk about. The problem with Jake is all of the fights where he would be fighting guys that, you know, like they made jokes about it, like you're fighting cab drivers in Tijuana or whatever, or you're fighting guys that have terrible records. Go back and look at some of the fighters, not over the history of boxing, but look at some of the fighters now that have built up their records and look at the guys that they fought when they were first coming out. You're going to see guys that are there to take losses, to get the other guy experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say that Jake Paul, in the way that he's going about the early part of his career, is doing anything that is
abnormal.
That is abnormal or particularly upsetting or disrespectful, should I say, to boxing, because a lot of guys do this to build their records up. I would say that he's doing it and it's so loud that I think people are expecting something more on the back end.
Sure.
I would say it's so loud. I mean, you're expecting millions of people to watch your come-up fights. A lot of these fights that you're talking about, these fights will be happening at Commerce Casino. I've watched one of Jake's fighters that he has now, a kid named Ashton Silv. Me and Kalika went out to like Pasadena or something like that, and he was fighting, I think it was at like a racetrack for his first or second fight when he was just getting his, and he was a big time prospect.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is, people, if Jake wants to be a real professional fighter, he's making people pay and making it seem like it's a big deal, like it's a huge spectacle that all of these warm-up fights are taking place. So he's making a big deal out of it. This one is different though. This one is different because he's in there with Mike Tyson. He's in there with somebody who represents the fundamental boxing story, which is I come from a very fucked up background, and I literally would be in jail somewhere or dead if boxing didn't come along and give my life some purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 58, and Jake's 27. Jake is actually going in there and beating up an actual boxing story. Now, we can have a different conversation about what Mike Tyson is and who Mike Tyson has been throughout his entire life and who Mike Tyson has hurt by his own admission and what he's been through while we cast him as some sort of inspirational story. But the reality is, when he did it to this guy actually represents something that's real. And when people see that, it signifies something. It was different. It signifies a lot of the desperation that goes along in the sport. It signifies all of the money that Mike lost throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
Like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars because of the way fighters are taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
It signifies the fact, I'm sure Mike is doing okay financially, right? But the fact that he's in there with all of the elements that he has, and he's still boxing. And, you know, just to be honest with you, white kid who decided he was going to start boxing in his early 20s because he could, is in there with somebody who did. And when you looked at it, it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. We're in a situation in society where we're asking ourselves whether or not we want the frosting or the fundamentals, whether or not we want the sweet spectacle part of the cake or the part that like there's any nutrition to, if there's nutrition in the cake at all. Whether or not it's all about the sweet and sticky stuff or whether or not we actually want something that's real. And the fundamentals of boxing are how much you sacrifice, where you're coming from in your fighting, what fighting means to you, actually putting it on the line against somebody who can beat you. That's when you respect a fighter. You respect a fighter when they're in with somebody and there's a chance that they can lose.
Mm-hmm.
Not when they're overmatched.
Yeah.
Or when they're overmatching someone, right?
Right.
And in everything we're doing, we're asking about that. Like, what's more important? The frosting of it or the fundamentals of it? Obviously, to make anything work, you need both. You need both the parts of it that taste good, just the sweet parts to people, and you need the things that are going to undergird whatever it is that you're doing for a long time. And this was all frosting. There was nothing to the fight. Not only is Mike old, but Mike was obviously hobbled and hurt.
Before he went in.
You could tell he wasn't moving well, right? You can tell he had a brace on his knee, the whole thing. And we all watched something that made us a little sad. It made us a little sad to see Mike like that. And now, more than anything, because Jake did that, people want to see Jake Paul take a real fight. Because it's like
I wanted to before.
If you want to, if you're willing to get in there in front of 60 million people and do that with Mike Tyson, Now people want to see Jake Paul fight somebody real. I think the fight was good for his pocketbook. It was probably good for Netflix in the interim. I'm sure it was good for Tyson's pocketbook, but in the long run, the brand of Jake Paul, the part of him that wants to be taken seriously as a fighter, took a major, major hit on Friday. Took a major hit on Friday.
Okay.
So, I mean, it is what it is. And then us, like myself, I could not watch it. I shouldn't have watched that. I could not watch it, though. And I feel bad about me. I could not watch it. It wasn't that I was intrigued to a degree. I definitely was, but at the same time, I was
intrigued. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we care about all of these things and the performances of these things and stuff. It's for the same reason why Marvel's dominated. I'll put Marvel into it. Marvel's dominated because it's mostly frosting. And when they try to give you a little bit of fundamentals, sometimes they fail. But I don't know. I probably talked too much about it, but I actually felt like watching it made me feel, I don't know why my nose is running, by the way.
It's cold in here.
Yeah, watching it actually made me feel bad.
Well, I don't think you talk too much because I think it is interesting. And a lot of people watching, 60 million people, are not avid boxing fans. They don't understand. So some of the things that you explained were eye-opening to me. You're right. I mean, this is not a good example, but even if you watch the movie Creed, you don't know much about. He was taking fights.
He was going down to Mexico.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. I was intrigued to watch it just because it's Mike Tyson, and that's somebody I grew up knowing who they were, and I was curious to see what he looked like stepping back into the ring. Again, I didn't watch the fight like that, but to know he came in hurt and hobbled, and to even hear Jake Paul say he held back, as if we should be proud of him, because yes, that bothered me, and I didn't even watch it like that. The fact that he's like, well, I held back, as if we should be giving him a pat on the back for not going in harder on this man 30 years older than him, to me was also in poor taste, which I think added to, people looking at him in a negative way as a boxer. But at this point, I was saying it before Mike Tyson, I want to see him fight somebody who he is equally yoked with. That's what I want to see at this point.
We talking about Jake Paul?
Of course. Yeah, not Mike Tyson.
He did.
Who?
He fought a guy named Tommy Fury.
Oh, well. I know. I watched that one.
He lost.
Yeah, well, I watched that one.
Yeah.
Wait, is that's the brother of
the
other guy?
He did fight somebody. He took one semi-tough fight. He lost. So, and by the way, once again, people building their records up is not unheard of in boxing. I can show you tapes, right? I can show you films right now of Deontay Wilder fighting guys, and it looks crazy. People building their record, but But on the grands, at this point, I only want to see that from here on out. Yeah.
Not the entertainment value of it. I want to see you actually fight.
And Jake would have to be much busier than he's being right now. He'd have to fight, if it was really about this, he'd have to fight 4 or 5 times a year. Much busier than he's being right now. But we'll see. The reality is everything is dictated by money, right?
Yes.
So I saw my man, Steven Jackson, put up on his Instagram, Stack, I love you. But I was surprised at Steven Jackson put up, this guy knows how to get a bag and they're gonna hate on Jake Paul and all of that stuff. I'm just like, I know that it wouldn't matter how much money somebody was making at playing basketball. If they weren't hooping for real, I know that Jack wouldn't respect them. I know that Jack wouldn't respect, because that's a real basketball player. So it just seems like we need to have a conversation about whether or not, like I said, the fundamentals and the quality of anything matters anymore. But whatever.
It's a great point.
Seems like Diddy's up to his old tricks.
Did he ever stop?
Accused of corruptly influencing witnesses and jurors while in jail. This is why he's probably not ever going to get a bond. In a filing made on this past Friday, prosecutors claim Diddy has repeatedly communicated with others in ways that violate the prison's regulations. They also note that he has used the telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates in an effort to avoid prosecutors monitoring calls. Because, they monitor your calls and stuff like that. He allegedly has gotten the other person on the call, including those on his contact list, to add other individuals via 3-way calls. This practice is not authorized by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and it helps conceal the identities of contacted individuals. There's also another report, and this is according to federal prosecutors, that Diddy paid off Kalina Harper. Now, if you don't know who Kalina Harper is, she is the other member of Diddy's Dirty Money, who has been very vocally critical of Don Richard in the lawsuit that she filed against Diddy. And sort of, in an interview with Breakbeat, sort of vaguely critical of Cassie as well. I don't know if you saw that. She was talking about Cassie.
Yes, we talked about it.
Vaguely critical of Cassie as well. And so, they say that during this cell phone prison sweep, that they have evidence that he has paid her off.
Did any of this surprise? I mean, listen, we talked about Kalina Harper's interview. We said that it was disturbing and she didn't look well.
Yeah.
But it was also very obvious that, because I feel like at first she put out a statement that she didn't want to be involved. I can't remember if I'm making that up or not. And then the next thing we know, she's sitting down and doing an interview. So it clearly looked like somebody got to her, or somebody said, she was encouraged to speak out. And so the federal prosecutor saying they have evidence that she was paid off, not surprising. The fact that Diddy is in there still manipulating people and trying to run things in similar ways as he did when he was out of jail, that's not shocking either. We talked about it before that it's a wrap for Diddy. I mean, at this point, it's almost like Diddy's like, I know I'm going to be here, so I'm just going to run things from prison while I'm here. Diddy's not going anywhere. At this point, with the stuff that he did to get him inside of jail, and now what he is being accused of doing while he's in jail, it's a wrap.
Yeah, I don't think he knows who the feds are. You're not going to be able to get anything past them. They're going to know everything that's happening.
It's like he's addicted to this type of behavior. He can't help himself. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. It's just he can't get out of his own way. He's got to be able to manipulate, to control, to run things no matter where despite the consequences. Maybe because he was free of them for such a long time, it's almost as if none of this registers to him that this is real. This is really happening.
This, more than anything, in my opinion, there's still a part of Diddy, if you ask me, that believes he can save face.
Yeah, I agree.
That thinks he can save face. He obviously is trying to stack the deck in terms of witnesses that might come up in this trial, right? Obviously that. But having her go out there for that interview, and even some of the stuff, to be honest with you, that I see happening on his family members.
The kids?
See the kids and stuff like that. To me, I think it's a victimization of the kids to subject them to the scrutiny that's going to come along with some of the public stuff that they're doing. Now, I can't tell them the way to feel about their father.
Sure.
They probably, I would assume that they have a different relationship with their father than anybody else would have with Diddy or perception, and they're going to love their dad, right? They're going to love their dad. However, some of the stuff that they're doing publicly, I think it's unfair to them. It subjects them to scrutiny that, I'm assuming they didn't have anything to do with a lot of the stuff that's being alleged or the things that we've seen. I didn't see anybody else other than him on tape assaulting Cassie. Even that type of stuff. If that, in fact, is coming from someone, other than them, if they're being asked to put out the entire thing, that's unfair to them. Because what's likely going to happen is that they are going to have to move forward in their lives figuring out how to navigate a very complicated relationship with their father, how to still be their father's children, but also put enough distance between themselves and the alleged behavior of their father where they're not defined by it going forward in perpetuity. And a lot of that stuff, it doesn't make that job easier for them. So if trying to save face by having someone who's obviously compromised give interviews on your behalf, or about having kids who are obviously in a very trying emotional position, litigate this out in the court of public opinion, it's just not going to work. And none of that's going to work.
The delusion is unmatched.
Yeah.
And this won't be the last thing we hear about Diddy doing. I mean, he doesn't even go to trial till May 2025, and that could even be pushed back.
Yeah, we'll see. Keep something in the back of your mind here. This is a Fed case. Don't be surprised if the new administration gets involved here. Don't be surprised if Trump, in some kind of way, gets involved with the Diddy situation. If you're looking at it, if there is enough, I'd say, cultural real estate to be gained for Donald Trump by in some way influencing the Justice Department, who will now be run upon confirmation by somebody who has their own issues or their own investigations with sex trafficking and situations like that. Don't be surprised if the new administration thinks that there is something to be gained from either making this easy for Diddy or pardoning Diddy after the fact, commuting the sentence, if that happens.
Gosh.
I don't think it was the worst thing for Diddy at all that Trump got elected.
Well, no, it's not, because he's with like-minded people.
No, they've also known each other personally for a very long time.
That might be true, but also the things that they have been not just accused of, but, found liable for or being investigated for, he's with similarly situated people. So, of course, it's a good thing for Diddy. And as you were talking and I'm thinking of it, I'm like, but, not necessarily what's to gain for Trump, but would people be upset with him?
Oh, I think what's to gain?
No. It is, I was thinking what's to gain. I don't think that he would lose any type of real estate, with people if he were to do something to help Diddy's case. I don't. He's already in office for what he stands for. He's already aligned himself with people that we've just talked about. I think he has, honestly, I don't think people care enough. I don't think women as a whole would care enough to be so upset about what he did to other women or children or men to be swayed by it. I think he would gain cultural. I think he would gain cultural real estate. I think there are enough people to be like, see, look what he did for Diddy.
So I do think if we're talking about this situation a little earlier in the year, then there's a radioactivity that comes from Puff, even from people on the right, that did exist. The Candace Owens people who want to make Diddy's case the central source of blackmail in Hollywood and all of that stuff, which it very well may be. We don't know, right? However, if in fact any of these efforts to wholly change public opinion on Diddy are successful, and I'm telling you, if you pay close enough attention, it's already sort of starting to happen. If you pay close enough attention, you see people saying the stuff like the kids on his birthday or the Kalina Harper interview, that works. Or they're just trying to take down a powerful black man, or some other people in the industry that, like Bow Wow saying, hey, the hip hop ain't the same without Diddy's parties and all of that stuff. If enough of that stuff happens to where the people that are already Black Trump voters, if you can solidify your standing with them by saying Trump showed up for another black man in peril, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Not at all. And when you talk about like the right and people who were very critical of Diddy, that was when he was a black man standing alone, a black man who did these things. If he aligns himself with a Trump, it changes things for people.
Speaking of this, not exactly this, because this man is far from Diddy, but it's interesting when you talk about Donald Trump and who he may or may not pardon. Snoop recently talked about why he didn't endorse a presidential candidate, and this is the audio.
So I'm not looking for separation. I'm not looking for division. I'm looking for people to come together. And I just want to say this. When all of the hoopla was going on with the voting, notice I was nowhere to be seen? I wanted it to be like that. Because I don't believe in separating people. I believe in bringing us together. Once they figure out who's in there, bring us together. Because if you picking and choosing, now I got to make people mad at me because I chose this or chose that. I don't choose neither one because honestly, I don't represent the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I represent the motherfucking gangster party.
That was a bar.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Who said that was a bar?
I don't know, man. Okay, so that's Snoop today. Play Snoop during Trump's first rise to power in America. Donnie?
Ain't no fucking way around. Don't even try to put no cut.
I don't even want to put anything around
I
it.
do. I don't give a fuck. I tell him straight up, motherfucker, if you like that nigga, you motherfucking racist. Fuck you and fuck him. Now what?
All right.
Draw the line, nigga. He drew the lines.
Exactly.
He drew the motherfucking lines. Before him, there were no lines. Everybody was everybody. We respected everything. We didn't trip. But nigga, when you drew the line, nigga, start pointing motherfuckers out and saying, nigga, fuck y'all then, nigga.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
You and them.
8 years later.
Well,
what changed?
Okay.
Because if I'm taking what Snoop said in 2016, and he's talking about how divided Trump has made this country and made people, how did he get any better in 8 years?
So this is my thing. It's very important to listen to what Snoop's saying right there, because Snoop didn't say in that entire piece of sound that he was a Democrat.
The first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he never said that he was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say that he believed in, I don't know, healthcare for all, or that he believed in a certain amount of government spending or any of that stuff.
No.
He didn't get into any politics.
He said he was anti-Trump.
He said he was anti-racist. He said he was anti-Trump because Donald Trump is a racist.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he was a Democrat, not that he was a Republican, not that this is who he caucused with politically. He said he was anti-Trump because Donald Trump is a racist. And now he's saying that he's not Democrat or Republican, so he didn't speak of it. However, the same guy that is running now was either running then or was in power then. And he indicted an entire audience and was pretty consistent in his indictment of Trump for most of Trump's first term. Now, I have to say this about Snoop real quick. Snoop is not somebody who is a rhetoric guy. Snoop works. Like, Snoop has started a football league that has changed lives. He's worked in his community and changed lives in his community. So Snoop doesn't sit behind a desk and point fingers at people. He decided that what he was going to do was look into his community and create a pathway to different ways of life. You're familiar with Snoop's League and everything that they do. He decided that he was going to put his own money into that, put his own time into that, not just money, not just branding, but time, being out there. Snoop has done that. Snoop cares about his community. He cares about the young black men and young black women in his community. He's done a lot. So I want to take that away from Snoop. However, you have to look at this and you have to ask what changed. And it's obvious what changed, right? At the end of Trump's first term, Snoop called upon Trump to pardon someone named Michael Harris, Harry O, who was one of the people that started Death Row Records. And Trump did that. Trump gave Snoop that pardon. So, and since then, we haven't heard any of the criticism surrounding Donald Trump that we heard before. As a matter of fact, I do believe that there was an article where Snoop said he had nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump.
That's true. So he said he's never done anything to me.
Never done anything to him. This right here is the reason why you should take your luminaries and their opinions of things less seriously than what you do now. And I hope that the Democrats understand this, that the celebrity endorsement or the celebrity political thought doesn't matter anymore because it's too transactional.
Yes.
Because a lot of this stuff from celebrities isn't about what they believe in, how they view the world, and how they show up in the world. It's about what can be done for them. If it looks good to show up with a specific political figure, then they're there. If it looks good to criticize a specific political figure, then they're there. A lot of times celebrities, particularly like hyper famous celebrities, they are so brand conscious and concerned with the way that they are looked or what it's done for them that plays too much into what they do. It's not based upon any real principle. Mm-hmm. Because the real question there would be, and you could see the aura of celebrity that even exists in that thing, oh my God, that's a bar. It's not a fucking bar. That didn't mean anything, what he said, right? The question would be, you said that Trump was a racist and a pretty vehement racist then. What has changed? And by the way, there might be an answer to that question. It might be, well, he pardoned Harry L. And being that he pardoned Harry L., which is something I never would think that a racist president would do.
Well, that is what his reasoning is.
Right. But that's the explanation to it, right? It's not that we don't want, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. He wasn't a Democrat or a Republican then either. I think that's kind of a con job. And I say this with all the love and respect in the world for Snoop Dogg. Like legitimately, all the love and respect in the world for Snoop Dogg. What he's been able to do with his life and what he's done for other people is tremendous. But that falls short of what he said he was about even 8 years ago. And you do not go in 8 years from being against everything that's racist and against somebody who represents everything that's racist in 8 years to being kind of hands-off or got nothing in love and respect beyond the fact that that person did something that you wanted them to do.
Sure. Well, I think that, and that's why when you brought up the point of, well, I said he hasn't done anything to me. And I can't remember what the other part you said is. To me, it shows that it's self-centered. And I'm not taking away from the things that you pointed out that Snoop has done for young Black men. I have interviewed him when he has done stuff in the community. We've seen it. It's not taken away from that. Yes, that's true. But the other thing that can be true is the comments that you're making here, or you switching and saying Trump hasn't done anything to me, is the opposite of the other side of it. Because Trump is doing things that very well harm the very people you're trying to help. So when I listened to that clip that he was speaking to, and people were like, the choir, the sounding board, that's a bar, which just on a side note, to me highlights how stupid people are. That's stupid.
Well, I don't know the sister. I don't want to call the sister stupid.
It was a crowd of people. She wasn't the only one. I'm not.
Somebody said it's a bar. I don't want to call the sister stupid.
I don't know who it was, but it's fine. Soften the word. But I guess the point is, he didn't say anything, which you just said. Yeah. He didn't say a thing. And to stand up there and say, I want unity. It's fine. You don't want to identify with any party. A lot of people feel that way. You and I are both registered as independents. It's fine that that's what you want to believe. But to say you want unity, and he basically said, now I'm speculating, but from what I can deduct from what he said, it sounds like he didn't vote.
Well, once again.
It sounds like.
Yeah. I don't know whether or not he voted.
Can you play the clip again? Of course, we don't know whether or not he voted, but I'm just saying he said he doesn't believe in any party. It sounded like he didn't vote. My thing is if you want unity and you're listening to the two choices that we have, and you want to rally under somebody who says that they are trying to bring people together, then there is a vote for that. I'm not saying it to be critical, outspoken, but to say you don't have a problem with Trump and he's done nothing to me, also to your point about transactions, shows the selfishness that people take when it comes to aligning themselves or choosing to not be involved in politics. That to me is an issue as well. So when I say the people sounded stupid, it's that he wasn't saying anything of depth. And for him to say he wants unity and then to not, I'm not saying he had to endorse Kamala Harris, but to not speak out against somebody who is the opposite of that, to me is a problem. That was not a bar. It was empty.
Once again, if Snoop says I would be intrigued if Snoop says that I thought Donald Trump was a racist. I thought that he was a vehement racist. But during the time that we worked together to get Harry O. The pardon, because remember now, Roc Nation and okay, so Donald Trump also pardoned. Donald Trump knows how to operate in hip hop. Donald Trump also pardoned Desiree Perez, who is the CEO of Roc Nation, right? And so during this entire thing, you saw Beyonce get involved, right? But you didn't see anything come from, Roc Nation, which is an organization that does a lot in different causes and does a lot of politics stuff, like is involved in all of these different things. You see them doing stuff and politically in Philadelphia. You see them doing all different types of things to empower and educate. They didn't really get involved in any politics from the top on down either. You didn't really hear anything about it. I didn't hear it or see it. I could be wrong. If I am wrong about that, cool. But I didn't really see anything coming from them in terms of any voter stuff or endorsing the candidate or anything like that.
Do they ever do that though?
I mean, Jay-Z certainly got involved with President Obama. You know what I mean? He certainly got involved during that time.
Did Roc Nation?
I can't remember. I'd have to look. But that's being fair. I'll take that. But what I'm saying is their CEO was pardoned by President Trump, right? So when you look at that and when you look at what happened with Snoop, and we can have a different conversation about whether or not hip-hop is serving us politically right now. And when I say serving us, I'm not saying being on the political side of the aisle that you want people to be on. That is up to them.
Sure.
In this situation right here, Snoop's reasoning to me for not being political in this particular cycle doesn't make any sense because he wasn't political the last time. He was against racism. And if you're against racism then, and the same guy is running, is this guy not racist? Did you think he was racist and he's not racist now? Did you learn something new or is there something different? So that's what I'm saying where it falls with me. What I would have wanted to know, well, you were so strong against it. What changed?
I think in the comment, when he says he hasn't done anything to me, he mentions Michael Harris in the same thing, therefore saying he's actually done something for me, something that I asked.
I get it.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the reason why the comments are worth criticism. Because once again, for anyone that we follow or we look up to, right? There has to be a fundamental way that they see the world. That's what you're linking in community with. You're not linking in community with the person that made you laugh or the person that you bobbed your head to. You're linking worldviews.
Yeah.
If an endorsement from somebody is going to matter, it's going to be because they have the power to influence people and that your worldview matches their worldview.
Right.
So those are the things that have to be interrogated. And racism is a tenet of that. And so if racism was fucked up and Donald Trump was a racist in 2017, if he's not now, it would have to be asked of Snoop as to why he's not now.
Mm.
And if he learned that within his situation with Michael Harris, with Harry O, then give it up. But my thing is, if he comes out right now and says, I don't think Donald Trump is the same racist that I thought he was, that's going to be something that he's going to have to back up with a lot of input.
It just seemed in that clip that he was more interested in what people think. You know, he doesn't want anybody upset with him for the choice that he makes. He says that in the clip. It seemed to me very self-serving. And I guess, the reason I talk about the emptiness of what he said is if you're talking about unity, I think that there's a clear choice in that. And I just don't understand how you can say that that's what you're for and then be like, I have no problems with Trump. There's just, the two don't match up.
Last thing I'll say, I'm not trying to tell him the way he should see the world. I'm not telling anybody that. I'm not going to tell you who the Unity Party candidate is, because if I try to tell you who the Unity candidate is, you might then come back and say to me, well, I don't think it's very unifying to kill 50,000 people in Gaza, right? So I'm not going to tell you who the Unity Party candidate is. I can tell you what I just want to know how you see the world. So I can't tell you who you think. I personally think that there was a clear choice to steward this country, right? What I want now, though, is to know what, if people are going to make statements and get involved in it, I want to know how they look at things, because I think it's important to be able to litigate and understand that.
But he's not involved.
Okay.
He's not making a statement, according to him.
He didn't. All right. We got to end on something I was going to do for my sweet puppy, my sweet best friend, Bozeman the Bernedoodle. It was Bozeman's birthday. Okay. Bozeman's birthday was in October. He's a sweet dog. He's a sweet, loving boy. Okay.
We love Bozeman.
We love Bozeman. Okay. He came to us in December of 2020, but he was born in October of 2020. Bozeman he's new to this earth. So in honor of that, should I say, we're going to do a Van Lathan, a quick one. Top 10 cartoon dogs of all time. Okay, because my boy is like a cartoon character. He's so much love. He's Bozeman's 106 pounds.
He's big.
Why you say it like that? Like you got a weight problem?
You're the one who put out his numbers like that.
Yeah.
You said Bozeman is 106 pounds.
Big boy.
Okay, so don't come at me for saying, yeah.
All right, this is my list. Next list, the Lathan gets serious. We're going to do the top 10 American presidents that were worse for Black people. The top 10 worst presidents for Black people, American presidents. Top 10.
Outside of Trump?
Well, I mean, no, we're going to...
Okay.
Why would it be outside of that?
I don't know. The way you phrased it made it seem like worse than what we already have is how I kind of took it.
I'm going to get Peniel Joseph to help me with this one.
Okay.
Because I need a historian, you know? And then maybe we might do the 10 presidents that were best, if such a thing exists. All right, number 10, cartoon dogs. Huckleberry Hound. Do you remember him? Does anybody here remember Huckleberry Hound?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. The judge wasn't letting Rachel watch cartoons. Huckleberry Hound is number 10. Number 9, Courage the Cowardly Dog, who is a pink beagle. Huckleberry Hound, coonhound, Courage the Cowardly Dog, teaches kids about courage. Pink beagle. Number 8, I love this guy. Clifford the Big Red Dog. I fuck with Clifford. He's big.
Okay. He's red.
He's red. You know, he's very, sometimes people, they kind of hate on Clifford because of his size. You know what I mean? He can easily destroy stuff, but he always comes through in the end. Clifford, who I think is a St. Bernard. I'm not sure. He's a mythical dog, so I'm not sure. Number 7, this guy gets a lot of play in my household. When I leave the house and Bozeman's by himself, I put this on for Bozeman. Bluey.
Oh, cute.
I put Bluey on for Bozeman. Bozeman likes to watch Bluey. Bluey is an Australian cattle dog. Have you ever seen the way Bluey starts?
I haven't seen the way it starts, no.
Bluey, Dad. They all talk about the different ones and they introduce them. Bluey is on 24/7, by the way. It's a loop of Bluey.
I'm familiar with who Bluey is, yes.
Number 6, I have to put these dogs out here because they are both cartoons and in live action, okay? Kind of like Clifford is as well. And it's a group of dogs that are all under the persecution of one white woman. And it's not Kristi Noem. It's Cruella de Vil, who's trying to get the Dalmatians. Now, there was a movie that Kalika and I watched about the Dalmatians, and it wasn't about the Dalmatians. It was about Cruella de Vil, and what's her name was in it?
I know.
Emma Stone.
Yes.
And they trying to make her seem like she was nice. I can't do that. She's a dog killer. Okay, if you're a dog killer, you're a dog killer. I don't care why you want to kill the dogs. You're a dog killer. Okay? I don't care how the dogs were mean to you or whatever. You're a dog killer. She's Cruella de Vil, dog killing bitch. Kristi Noem, dog killing bitch. I don't care. Now we're in the top 5 and it got hard.
Okay.
Pause. Number 5, Pluto.
Should have been higher.
Can't go any higher. Too much competition. Pluto is a bloodhound. Okay. Now I like Pluto.
I like Pluto a lot.
But the only thing I'll say about Pluto is he doesn't have enough of his own adventures.
Okay.
For him to be rated too high. He doesn't have enough of his own adventures, okay? Okay. Number 4, controversial.
So cute.
Gotta have him in there. Brian from the Family Guy.
Let's have a oh God.
Brian, who is a Labrador of some sort. Brian from the Family Guy is maybe the funniest dog of all time.
Not maybe, without a doubt.
Brian, the funniest dog of all time. Brian is a little bit different. He's got a lot of, peccadillos and things like that. So you have to make sure you keep Brian in check. Brian might want to have sex with different people. Who's Brian obsessed with? He wants to have sex with Meg or the wife. Who does Brian?
No, not the wife.
Who is Brian obsessed with? He's in love with one of them.
It's either one of them.
He's in love with one of them. Whatever. I haven't watched it in a while. Okay, number 3. Once again, controversial. Another bloodhound. We're not sure if this is even a dog, if I'm being honest.
Pluto? I'm not Pluto. A Goofy?
Goofy. We think that Goofy is a dog. However, Goofy could also be a dog-like creature because it's interesting that Pluto and Goofy are in the same universe, yet Pluto, traditional dog, Goofy represents a race of dog-like people. If you've ever seen the movie Spaceballs, it could be argued that Goofy is like John Candy, rest in peace, his character in that movie, a Mog, half man, half dog.
I mean, Goofy does walk on 2 feet.
Goofy walks on 2 feet. Goofy has a son. He teaches him lessons. Goofy is very black-coded. He's black.
I know.
Goofy's black.
I know.
Goofy's somebody's uncle. But Goofy's number 3. Now we got the top 2, and this was tough. I had to switch this at the last moment. Number 2 is Snoopy, who is a beagle.
Okay.
I would just like to say Snoopy is my favorite cartoon dog of all time.
And he didn't get number 1.
Didn't get number 1. I just couldn't overlook one particular cartoon dog. Snoopy is my favorite cartoon dog of all time. Snoopy is with the Peanuts. Mm-hmm. He is the dog of Charlie Brown, but he also has his own thing going on. He's the most like a real dog because if you have a real dog, your dog is both your dog, but then your dog has his own life that doesn't even it has nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
The dog is somewhere doing its own thing, into its own stuff, its own point of view. Snoopy becomes the Red Baron. He sits on top of his house. He does all that. Snoopy, in ways, I would say Snoopy is bigger than Charlie Brown.
I was going to say that. He outshines him for sure.
Yeah. But number 1, it has to be this guy, right? He is the Great Dane of our hearts. Has a whole show oriented around him and this band of white people that are getting high and having sex and solving mysteries. Number 1 is clearly Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is not the bravest dog.
No.
He's not the smartest dog, but he's the best dog. He's a loyal dog. They solve crimes. Scooby, he has a give me your best Scoob. There you go. See, people are gonna like that. Scooby's a Great Dane, and he has anchored a multimedia empire that goes all the way back to 7. They have Batman and Robin on there. Remember that one?
No. Well, maybe. Kind of.
That's it.
Scrappy doesn't get any play?
Nah.
Okay.
Too plucky. I fuck with Scrappy, but I wish somebody put something on Scrappy ass.
That's what we call Brownie.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Scrappy.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, I wish some put, like, you call somebody hands enough like that, to me, Scrappy, I wish somebody dropped their nuts on Scrappy. Like, Scrappy call everybody hands. I don't like niggas like that. I don't like niggas that's always trying to fight, always calling somebody hands. I remember I was on the bus one time, was coming back, and we had this one dude on the bus, Aaron. And Aaron was always trying to fight somebody. I was like, hey, man, somebody whoop this nigga ass, man.
Why couldn't it be you?
Because I don't want to fight for no reason. Like, I don't want to fight for no reason. But I should have. So always trying to fight somebody, and then he got his ass whooped.
It happened.
And we was all happy. He's just one dude, I forget, a guy he had just come to us from Second Chance Academy, which in Baton Rouge is the place where you go if you get expelled.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no reason to fight Aaron. Man, sit down, bro. Man, you a loud ass nigga. Oh, I'm a loud ass nigga. Aaron stood up, bing, bing, pow, pow. Quick. And we all rejoiced. Aaron was like a little nigga with a chip on his shoulder. All right, that is enough. Higher learning is going. Rachel, you've been cooking. We've been cooking since the unfortunate event happened.
The unfortunate event. Well, next week we're gonna cook some more. We're gonna bring on some people to help us cook in the kitchen.
I mean, maybe. I mean, next week I'll have the hair plates.
No, Thursday. Our New York special.
Oh no, it's not next week. It's this week.
Did I say next week? Sorry, guys.
You said this week. We're gonna bring on a couple of people, but what's the name of? What did we say it was called, Donnie? What can he do?
What can he do?
What can he do?
The New York special.
The New York special. I'm gonna put in some work over the next couple of days, and we're gonna talk to you guys and make sure you are aware of what the guardrails are, which still exist and which are gone. I think most of them are probably gone, but we'll see. All right, take your thin caps off, but do not stop learning. I'm Van Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel and Lindsay. Bye, guys.